A new update from the Sea of Thieves developers has just dropped, and it sheds some long overdue light on the direction of the rest of 2025 and 2026. There is quite a bit to unpack here, including a shift in focus for the game overall, so grab a grog, adjust your eye patch, and let's get into it. First up, the devs took a moment to reflect on 2024, and to their credit, according to them, a lot of the design choices made throughout the year were, how do I put this, bad, just bad. Between questionable content, janky delivery methods, and an overall lack of stability, they pretty much admitted that 2024 was the equivalent of trying to steer a galleon with one oar and a broken compass. They openly acknowledged that quality control had slipped, and that the content didn't land the way it should have. Honestly, it's refreshing to hear a dev team say, yeah, we goofed, instead of pretending that their patch notes are flawless scripture handed down by Poseidon himself. It's not something you hear often, and it gives me a bit of hope they actually want to do better, not just say they will. Now, they did spend a portion of this update talking about giving banned players a second chance, some redemptive initiative about turning over a new leaf, offering players a path back into the game, yada yada yada. It's heartwarming, sure, but we're not here for pirate rehab. Let's skip the group therapy and get to the good stuff. Here's the first real bombshell, ladies and gentlemen. The NDA of Sea of Thieves Insiders is being lifted.
Holy shit!
Yes, you heard that right. No more secrecy. No more, technically I can't talk about it, but wink wink. Soon, players will be able to openly discuss, stream, and create content around the insider builds without the fear of Rare's legal kraken dragging them to the depths. Now, I know some of you are thinking, why is this such a big deal? But this is massive for the health of the game. Most other live service titles have had public test realms or open beta branches for ages. Sea of Thieves, on the other hand, has been treating insider builds like they contain nuclear codes. Lifting the NDA means more feedback, more discussion, more visibility, and hopefully better updates. It also gives content creators like myself something consistent to talk about. Instead of speculating for weeks about vague teasers or cryptic dev tweets, we can actually show people what's coming. Revolutionary, I know. Where the story's concerned though, I'm not so sure. They may have some gatekeeping involved there. Now for the second big update, custom servers are finally getting some attention. These things have been around in early alpha since 2019, which in gaming years is basically prehistoric. Up until now, custom servers that are only available to partners and affiliate alliance members have been so barebone they may as well have been a PowerPoint presentation. But that's about to change. The developers are bringing in a set of long-awaited tools for custom server owners. We're talking full time of day control, the ability to toggle events on and off, spawn in objects, and yes, even a free cam mode. This opens up a ton of potential, not just with hosting in-game events or community competitions, but also for filmmakers and creators who want to shoot something that doesn't involve being interrupted by a skeleton ship every 5 minutes. It's worth pointing out though that custom servers, you cannot earn reputation, gold, or commendations on these servers. They are purely a playground for you and your buddies. Now, separate from custom servers, there's something else on the horizon: Safer Sea fleets. This is essentially a way to take existing Safer Seas mode, aka Sea of No One, and make it cooperative. You'll be able to invite friends and sail multiple ships together in a private instance, complete with the usual Safer Sea limitations. No PvP, reduced rewards, but still peaceful enough to bring your nan along. All of these services, custom servers and Safer Sea fleets, will be on a monthly premium subscription service in order for you to take part. These updates will be coming at the beginning of 2026. Now, whilst a bunch of you start writing paragraphs in the comments about how paying for services isn't fair and it's a massive conspiracy by the reptilian government who faked the moon landings, let's talk about Season 17. Yes, Season 17 introduces the new Smugglers League into the game. And look, I get it. On the surface, it sounded a bit meh, and the original showcase was about as exciting as watching barnacles grow, but behind that underwhelming preview, it might, emphasis on might, be something more interesting. For starters, it looks like Sea of Thieves is finally shifting away from the "here's a jellyfish" update or "what if we made opening Reaper's chest its own thing" update. According to the devs, from Season 17 onward, world building is back on the menu. Each season will actually change the world as it progresses, with new threats and activities being introduced monthly. In short, the world will evolve instead of just recycling the same events with slightly different sound effects. Season 17 kicks off with the arrival of the smugglers themselves and their new loot drops, hidden around the world in places like shipwrecks. That's the onboarding. Then, in the second month, Flameheart starts flexing again, ramping up his forces and debuting a much improved Phantom Fortress. And this is where things will get spicy. It'll introduce one of the very first heist raids into the game. Crews will need to team up and take out this fortress and heist the loot that is within. Think of it like a world event, but absolutely everybody knows about it. And then, in the final month, Flameheart apparently unveils his next big move, reinforcing every skeleton fort on the map, bigger loot pools, tougher fights, and a permanent change to how forts work. But here's the twist, the Dark Brethren are also getting involved. They're not sitting this one out. They'll be trying to take the forts down for their own gain. So once you've cleared a fort, you'll then have to defend it from an incoming Brethren attack. Because why not make fort completion even more stressful? But it sounds like smugglers are basically being used as a narrative bridge, an excuse to tie various factions, loot types, and events together in one coherent seasonal arc. So yeah, it's not revolutionary, but it's certainly more ambitious than a 45-second trailer with a boom keg and a shrug. The devs were vague on the finer details as usual, but if they can actually pull this off and stick to the idea of monthly evolution and meaningful world changes, then seasons might finally feel like they matter, which would be a nice change of pace from here's another time-limited voyage to do exactly the same thing, but now there's purple fog. Anyway, moving on to Season 18. Now, this one was mentioned, but just barely. The devs kept things pretty vague, but there were a few key details worth pulling out, and I plan to go into this much deeper in another video soon. But here's the meat and veg. The Devil's Roar is finally getting a much-needed makeover. We're talking new quests, a fresh storyline, and the introduction of a new enemy type, the Dark Ancients. On top of that, we're getting new forts, phantom forts, and shrines, all tied into this Dark Ancient arc. Since its release, the Devil's Roar has only seen two meaningful updates, the Devil's Roar Fortress and the Heart of Fire Tall Tale. And that's it. The region has been more or less ignored ever since. So seeing it finally get some attention, honestly, it's about time. This update is long overdue, and I'll be digging into what this could all mean for the future of the game, especially heading into 2026 in an upcoming video soon. So if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to stay in the loop of all things Sea of Thieves, and as always, I'll speak to you all soon. Happy sailing.